What's up YouTube? My name is Chad. This is the Whisker Butter channel and I am sitting down in my engine room because we're going to do an engine room tour of my 1984 Chris Craft 381 Catalina. So I'm going to start with the aft end of the engine room here, which is actually in front of me. I'm sitting facing aft right now, and I will just go around the engine room, show you everything that's down here. Other 381s may look a little bit different, have some things arranged in a different way, different engines perhaps, but overall I think the layout of most of these is pretty similar. So let me turn the camera around. We'll start with the center aft section here and work our way around clockwise and show you everything that's down here. Okay, starting at the aft center section here, I'm going to use a spotlight here to kind of point some things out. But at the top here, got that right there is the high water bilge alarm, and it was wired in over the off season this year. There's a separate video on that. There is a power panel right there that actually is not used for anything at this point. It does have a fuse in it and a wire attached to it, but there is no power on that panel right now. So I don't know what that would have been used for. That right there is the bus block for the flow scan, the fuel senders, which are right here on both engines. So that runs the wires up to the helm, to the gauges up there. And then you've just got miscellaneous wiring harnesses that run up to the helm up there. I did replace both of the engine room lights with 12 volt LED bulbs. These are much brighter than the standard halogen bulbs that were used before. So going over here, I've got my the hull number of the boat is back here. And so that is the main ground panel for the DC system, all right there. And if we slide back here, come around the backside of the port engine, you'll notice that funnel there. I don't think I really need that anymore. The condensation that was coming off of the air conditioner system did have a leak, and it was coming through the bottom of the step that goes down into the aft stateroom. So I put a funnel there to catch the drips, and then that just runs down into the bilge here. Before we go too far after the engine, let's show you what we have down here. So on that side right over there, that is the reservoir, the hydraulic reservoir for the hydraulic steering system. You've seen that in the video where I replaced the hydraulic lines for the steering system. And then coming down here, that is our air conditioner water strainer. And water for the raw water for the air conditioner comes in through this seacock right here, up into the strainer, and then over to the pump. And then it runs, and that hose right there goes up to the air conditioning system. And here we have the midship bilge pump. These bilge pumps are amazing. They have amazing longevity. You keep these things oiled and they just seem to last forever. Right here is the shower sump. So you got shower drain water comes in right there, and then it gets pumped out that line right there that then goes up and overboard back over there. Associated with that high water bilge alarm is the float for that, which is over here. And then we've got a fuel water separator that then is ahead of the flow scan for this little thing here is what measures gallons per hour, which then goes up to the gauge up at the helm. So back behind the engine here, this is the transmission where the prop shafts are attached to, shift linkages. This is a Velvet Drive transmission, and then back there is the exhaust. I think that's called an accumulator. Not positive on that, somebody can correct me, but that big tank right there, I believe is called an accumulator, where the exhaust comes through this pipe here, through that, and then it goes out through the back of the boat behind the cabinets that are in the aft stateroom. And then of course here is the port side engine. This is my big block 454 Mercruiser 340 MEI. This is a carbureted 454, 340 horsepower. Above the engine, various ducts for the air conditioning system, and the air intake for the engine is right there. Okay, again, this is the battery switch for the port engine. You can parallel both of the starting batteries with this switch and the switch that's on the other motor. Right in front of that post here is our switch for the house batteries. One is an actual house battery, the other is a dedicated anchor battery, and I'll show you those here in a second. Back over on the wall over there, the side of the hull, you can see there's some ducting right there and right there. Those are for the blowers. This one is also for the blower, and you can see this one is at the lowest point of down in the lowest point, or the lowest bilge, just below the engine here. And here we have the water intake for the port engine. That's the seacock, and the hose that runs up to the engine, the water pump, which is right down there. There is a video of me installing these hoses. These are brand new. Last year, installed those. New water hose, and I did the hose from the water pump to the oil cooler, which is back in there. I did that on both engines. That hose right there is the sink drain for the galley. The orange cord that's right there is for a generator. Now this boat doesn't have a generator, but if it did, that cord is what is used to bring power from the generator up to the AC power panel. So here we have batteries. This is the port engine starting battery. That battery is the house battery. That battery is the anchor battery. Back on that wall over there, again, you've got another tube that runs up to the blowers. There's blowers on either side of the boat. And then forward of the blower hose there, you've got two hoses that are for bilge pumps, and the larger hose with the black elbow on it is the sink drain for the forward head. All the way in front there, you've got the holding tank vent filter. It's mounted on the wall. There's a separate video on that. And of course here, the 6-gallon water tank, another separate video on that, installing a new water heater. That was one of the first things that I did with this boat in the first off season. Brand new water heater, all new fittings, new drain hoses, new pressure relief valve hoses. So that's been working great. And let's see, I'll crawl up in here a little bit farther. Because up on the wall here, that there is the water pump for the forward head, the toilet, and the electronics for it are up there. So you've got water intake through the pump, and then it fills the toilet. Down here is the freshwater pump from the freshwater tank that's mounted in the back of the boat. This hose here is the intake to that, and then it distributes water out through the water system throughout the boat. On the wall here, that is the power box for the anchor, and right here is the fuse for the anchor with a breaker and isolator. So you can actually turn that on and off, but that will also trip if the anchor encounters an issue. Fire extinguisher mounted on the wall, that's the auto system. I just had that recertified by Vorfel back in March, I believe. What's the tag say? March? Yeah, March of 2023, so that's freshly recertified. I'm kind of laying on top of my holding tank here. This is a 42-gallon holding tank. Both heads pump into this single tank. Over here is our battery charger or rectifier, whatever you want to call it. It keeps the batteries charged. And then over here is where the generator would have gone. I don't know for sure if this boat ever did have a generator on it or not. Obviously does not now. It's completely wired for a generator. It's got the starting circuit, the glow plug switch, the power cord. There's a sea strainer in the back that I'll show you when I get around to the other side that ran up to it. So I don't know if all that stuff is here just in case somebody wanted to put a generator in. But I keep a lot of spares over in this area here. So back in this box, we've got distributors. There's extra impellers for the Jabsco toilets. There are, let's see, what do we got? Yeah, there's a distributor in there. I've got extra fuel, water separators. There's oil filters in here. Extra LED light bulbs. More Jabsco toilet parts. Always good to have plenty of spares on board. You never know when you're going to need them. This bucket here is, actually this bucket is required by the Coast Guard. You have to have a bailing bucket, but right now it doubles as a storage area for a funnel. Looks like, yeah, we got a couple funnels in there. There's some expanded fire barrier, expanding foam, extra hydraulic fluid for the steering system. I've got engine oil in that plastic bag there. Over here, got a, I don't really know what this is. Looks like an oil drain pan, but it's not. But extra lighting, rags, sponge. Got hose clamps down in there. A bunch of hose clamps. Some automatic transmission fluid. It's almost empty. This is a new box of marine hose, similar to hoses of that type, the corrugated stuff. I've got 2 spare batteries. There's just not much room. There's enough room to move around in here, but not really enough room to make a good quality video. But anyway, 2 spare batteries there for basically emergency use. They're house batteries, but could use them if you really needed a battery to replace the starting battery. And then in this box has all kinds of extra belts for the engine. I've got a box full of ignition coils now. There's 4 of them in there. And then down in here we've got more belts. I think this is a whole set of plug wires. More plug wires. So I got 2 sets of plug wires. And got spark plugs. And I'm making a mess of this box. And in this box here, we're going to go through all my storage and tools here in a little bit. But in this box, gloves, a little pump for fenders, various cushion clamps, entry gate hardware, got thermostats. I don't know what that is, but again, more hose clamps, various screws, fittings. This is more hose clamps. Got a grommet making kit. That is a battery monitor USB plug that I bought to use at some point. Haven't installed that yet, but we've got gaskets for thermostats here, fittings, thermostats. I don't know what those are. extra cleats, just a lot of random stuff in this box. This is just what I call my random dock box. It's kind of the catch-all, but I know where to go if I need stuff. Okay, that closed. And then got rags, towels. Down in this box here, I've got a full set of engine hoses for one 454 engine. Bunch of different size hoses in there. They're all pre-cut to fit onto the engine if needed. And then, so we work our way back around to the starboard side. Got bilge blower hoses, air hoses. There is the raw water intake for the starboard side engine, which again runs up to the water pump that's behind that pulley there. And everything's nice and dry down here. Always looks pretty good. And back there you've got bilge pump exits. That's where the mid and aft bilge pumps exit, as well as the the black elbow. That's for the aft sink drain. And then we've got the other big block over here. And as I mentioned, I don't know if this boat ever had a generator, but it's possible that it did. This sea strainer here would have run all the way up to the generator for its water intake. It would have got fresh water from that seacock there. We've got transducer there for the radar, which is not showing depth or temperature right now for some reason. I need to look into that. And then back on that side, same thing as I showed you on the port side already, except for I've got an unused seacock there, and then that one is the raw water intake for the aft toilet, which runs up to the water pump there, and then the electronics for the aft head or mount on the wall back there. And the last thing is the water for the shower and tub. That's where that comes in. I just put a brand new tub faucet and shower head in, so I was back here working the other day. Access pretty good, but you know, you got to lean over all this stuff to tighten up those fittings, but everything worked out just fine. All right, so that is a tour of the engine room of a 381. As you can see, I'm on my knees here, and my head is kind of right up against the ceiling here. I've got enough room to move around. You know, a person of my size can move around in here fairly easily. There are some spots that are a little bit tight, but for the most part, I can get to everything I need to. Though I wouldn't consider it spacious by any means. Okay, well, I shot that video a while back, a couple of weeks ago, and then I was going to go ahead and I was going to do an engine room storage and tool video. It's just getting too long, especially the storage and tools part. It's made the video like 45 minutes long, which is way too long for you guys to sit and watch me ramble on. So hope you enjoyed this video of the engine room tour of the 381. I know the footage and the camera work wasn't all that great. It's hard to move around down there and keep a steady hand. Sorry about the shaky footage, but anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time on the Wisco Boater channel. Happy boating, everybody.